Hey there, Twins fans. My name is Seth Stowes of Twins Daily, twinsdaily.com, welcoming you to our first Twin Spotlight of the offseason. It was a good year most of the year for the Twins, even if things didn't quite go well at the end. But obviously, we saw the strength in the American League Central, and the World Series is upon us. But Twins offseason is upon us. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of touch base with one of the fun stories of the year, or one of the breakout prospects, or one of, just simply put, one of the best performers in the entire Twins organization in 2024. And that is DaShawn Keirsey Jr. He set all kinds of records with the Saints this year, and finally, deservedly, got that call up to the big leagues. So without further ado, let's hear a little bit about his season direct from his voice, not from me or anyone else. You want to hear from him. DaShawn, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to be on here. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the fun stuff. I'm sure you've told the tale over and over again, but a couple days into September, the Twins have made their quote unquote September call ups. They call up Brooks Lee. Your longtime teammate Michael Hellman gets a call, which I was incredibly excited for as well. But you didn't. But then a day or two later, you finally did. Can you just kind of talk through the emotions and then how you found out?
Um, well, yeah, when it initially didn't happen, it was tough. As I'm sure anyone in that position would have a little mixed emotions. Like I'm on one hand super excited for Michael and just other guys who are getting the opportunity. Like for him, we have similar stories where we've grinded through and have faced injuries and things like that. So that was super awesome to have him up there. But for me personally, it was a little tough at first when I first found out. I definitely had those emotions just with the whole season and just really hoping for the opportunity. And it at the moment didn't happen. But yeah, I didn't sit in that headspace for too long. I just kind of went out that night and did what I needed to do, just to enjoy the game and only really control what I can control. And that's how I kind of went into those next couple days. And yeah, I think it was a couple nights later, maybe 3, 4 days later, 2 to 4 days later. Happened after a game, and it kind of wasn't. I wasn't expecting it at the time. I just kind of in my head like it's not gonna happen this year, and just to kind of finish strong where I was, and just after the game, Tramp, he comes in and grabs me and says, "Toby wants to see you." So I walk into the locker room, and Toby. I mean, when he said Toby wants to see you, I kind of figured. I had an inkling. You kind of know it means one or two things. So I kind of those emotions start. I started to feel them coming up to the surface, and I wasn't trying to rush ahead though. But then he made the announcement, and yeah, it was just like it was an awesome feeling for me to experience that.
What kind of what kind of support did you get from your teammates? I mean, I know at AAA there's a lot of veterans, guys that maybe you've only known part of the season or just this year, along with some of those guys like you mentioned, Hellman, that have been there for the whole time you have, really. What kind of support did you get from not only the guys in the clubhouse that day, but maybe from some of the guys when you got to Target Field, or former teammates that maybe are no longer in the game?
Well, first off, kind of when September hit and I didn't get that call, I got a lot of amazing support. Like, not just like I wasn't outwardly spoken about how I was feeling, but I think guys kind of knew. So, like, I had older guys coming up to me, and even some of the coaching staff just kind of just giving me a little support at the time, just saying they know it's tough and um, they feel for me and that the time will come soon. And I was just really I was in a season of really putting my trust and leaning on my faith with God. So I kind of knew like I'm working at his pace. It doesn't regardless of where I believe I should be or where others say I should be, really um, on his timeline. So I was really trying to believe that and trust in that process. But then, yeah, when I got that initial call, it was awesome. Everyone was super excited for me, even the coaching staff and all the players, and it was just an awesome feeling. And yeah, even when I got to Target Field, it was a very warm welcoming. I wasn't expecting um, anything outside of that, but I also wasn't expecting maybe some of the love I did get, in a sense of guys were like saying like we were expecting this before, or like you've had a great year and you deserve it. So yeah, that definitely made the transition easier from an aspect of just having support from the guys around me. And I've been around a lot of those guys like during spring training, which is an awesome time for guys just to get to know other players, and you get to be around some of the older veteran guys who maybe you haven't been able to be around. So you kind of that's also an awesome time to get to know guys. So when that time comes during the season, it's an easier transition.
And you segued perfectly. We'll obviously talk more about the big league time that you did have, including some pretty cool moments. But let's start with that. You got the invite to spring training. I know you didn't get much playing time in terms of in game, but what was that experience like for you? Like you said, being around the veterans, being around guys you've played with, but also guys that maybe haven't. I don't know how much time you've spent with, Correa or Pablo Lopez or some of those types of guys, Carlos Santana. Anything kind of stand out for you, and what was the biggest thing for you at spring training?
Um, yeah, it was awesome to be in the clubhouse, like as a part of the clubhouse. Whereas years past, I've played in games, so I've got to be on that side a little, but I was never really like a part of the clubhouse in a sense. But I mean, one of the biggest things that stood out to me about some of those guys, like you mentioned, Correa, Santana, Pablo, was kind of just their work ethic. Um, Obviously, those are guys who have been there for a while and have had great success at the highest level. So they understand themselves, they understand their bodies, they understand the work they need to put in. So it was just awesome to get to experience that firsthand, and just to see the way they go about at that time of the year, just to prepare themselves for 162, hoping for more than that in the season. So
Absolutely. Well, so then you started the season at AAA, which I think you played maybe 35, 40 games there at the end of last season. Kind of got your feet, planted there in St. Paul. I imagine it's very nice to know that the big league club is literally 10 miles down the road. Regardless, you don't have to worry about packing and moving quickly or flights or all that. But you started the season really well, even in the cold weather and all that. But I know you were hitting first, you were hitting third, you were hitting fifth, you were hitting second, kind of jumping all around. And I still would argue maybe your best spot is 1 and 2, but also provided enough pop this year too that I don't think anyone would feel bad if you're hitting 3, 4, 5 either. So just did something click this year? Did something click maybe last year that puts you in a good place to get going early this year?
yeah, I mean, this year I was just trying to focus on being as efficient as possible. Trying to really just stay true to myself as far as at the plate, and just knowing who I am as a hitter, and not trying to be anything outside of that. Because I know for me personally, and from guys across the board in this sport, when you try to do too much or be something you're not, that's when you kind of put yourself in a situation where you don't want to be. So yeah, I mean, in spring training, I was talking a lot with guys, and I'm sure people have noticed kind of that move I had this year, which was a little different. It was a little closer to a Royce Lewis move, and that's kind of exactly where I got it from. Like you mentioned, I didn't play much, or I didn't play at all during spring training. I was banged up a little, so that kind of kept me off. but I think just being able to watch games and talk to guys helped me a lot. Like I talked with Royce one day about his move and how it helped him. So the next day, I was able to hit live at bats still. So I kind of just like, I'm just gonna just try it. It's live at bats. It's not gonna it's not gonna hurt me. Um, and I just felt things that I haven't felt before. I got to pitch other pitches consistently that I didn't before, and I was seeing the ball a lot better. So I kind of just, from that point forward, I just took it and ran with it, and I didn't try to do anything else with it as far as just I have the feel, I have the move, and I'm just gonna put myself in the best positions at the plate to hit the best pitches. So yeah, I just took that into the season and was really also just focused on my approach, which I think helped me a lot. And I think that's a step as you get older and just move up through the minors and even make that transition from AAA to the big leagues. It's really your approach, and it's not only swinging at good pitches, but it's also I think it's being able to take certain pitches that you're not looking for. Like I found myself in previous years where I would get myself out early in counts because I would see a pitch well, but it wasn't necessarily where I wanted it or what I wanted, but I would just swing because I know I can make contact. So I think that was just a really big focus for me at early on in the year, and just obviously transitioned that throughout the entirety of the season. And I think that had a huge part into my success at that time, just at the plate.
Sure. So again, I mentioned earlier you kind of had a record-breaking season at AAA. Now, obviously, with the Saints, they've only been affiliated with the Twins now for 4 years. But you consider, you set the career number, most hits in the season, most triples in the season, most RBIs in the season, which speaks to the fact that, again, not just a true leadoff hitter. Maybe you can hit other places and come through with runners on, things like that. I mean, just talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, the whole approach. And when I ask that, or when I say that, I mean, you hit lefties, you hit righties, you hit everything. Here we're showing a home run off of a lefty down in St. Paul. I mean, is that approach? Is that strike zone knowledge? Is that growing and maturing as a person and a player?
Oh, actually, that at bat, I can speak to that really well. I think my first at bat, I want to say he was busting me in with that fastball or I think he kind of got me out on, maybe it was a sinker in.
Okay.
Or is a fastball. I don't remember his stuff exactly, but I remember it was a fastball in that he got me out on. So I kind of went up there. Wait, no, this is bottom. Oh, wait. Okay, no. Let me start this over.
Oh, wait, yeah, this is bottom of one.
Yeah. I think I knew he was working lefties in, like just off of his reports. So I was really, really this is the first, first pitch of that bat, I was looking in, and that ball was probably on the chalk line of that, of the box right there. Like it was really in there, but I was looking there and I wasn't going to get beat there. And so when I saw the pitch there, I just pulled the trigger. And yeah, so it was things like that throughout the season where I had an approach, and obviously I wasn't perfect every time. And there's times I missed the pitch I was looking for or things like that, but I really committed myself to an approach. And that's something I've had conversations with guys about. And even like Buxton, I remember years ago, he told me, I think this was like maybe my first full season, he told me that was when he really started making that leap in the big leagues with his bat, was when he really started to stick and trust his approach. So yeah, I just kind of really tried to focus on that throughout this whole year. And I had at bats like that where I didn't guess, but I was looking correct and just pulled the trigger on the right pitch. So yeah, I feel like that just helped my consistency throughout the season a little more. And So yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, we showed.
I don't think I answered your initial question, but
No, that's perfect because you could see on that swing and where we paused it, it was inside, but you could see how your hands were ready to be short to the ball and how your hips kind of got there early. But you also set the number of hits. I've always said about you, and I think maybe ironic. I don't know if that's the right word with Max Kepler being injured and being the guy that was injured when you got called up. I always talk about him as a guy that filled the stat sheet, especially his last couple of years in the minor leagues. You've got hits, you've got doubles, you've got triples, you've got home runs, you have the RBIs, you have the stolen bases, and add to that, obviously defense has always been a big part of your game as well. Have you always felt well-rounded, or was there a time when you decided, I want to add more power, I want to do more on the bases? I'm sure you have the green light. That kind of stuff is, if not the fastest, one of the fastest guys. Just talk about your all-around game and how you think that really has helped you as well, your athleticism and such.
no, yeah. I just first off have to give that credit and just the glory to God, just blessing me and putting me in opportunities for those kinds of things. And yeah, I mean, I think that just kind of goes back to what I said before of just I wasn't trying to be, or I'm never trying to be something, a player that I'm not, or trying to do something that's outside of what I do typically. Um, I've never really tried to like, I mean, in my long career, as far as just from when I was 4 years old till now, I've never been able, other than one at bat, which was in 22, my last at bat of the season against Frisco in the championship. I've never been able to hit a home run when I told myself I'm going to try to hit a home run. I've done
Yeah.
it in one at bat in however many thousands in my entire life. Um, so yeah, I think I just try to go up there with a plan and an approach, and don't try to do too much with the ball. Just trying to really just have a good feel for where I'm at, my feet, the barrel positioning, and just all that, and just like you said, just trying to be a well-rounded baseball player and athlete in general. Um, I think that's for me personally, and you look around the league, that's what separates certain guys is guys who can kind of do it all in the sense of they're not a liability somewhere. They're good in the field. They could be reliable on the base pass, and if they need to drive in a run or need to get on base, they can do that. And I think that's just where the true value of an athlete comes from. I always say I don't ever consider myself a baseball player. I consider myself an athlete that plays baseball. And I think you can see that in my game as far as just things I can do on the field. And you look around, there's other guys who can do that as well. And those are the guys who really strive on the baseball field. And I mean, you look at the best player in the game right now, he does all that and more because he throws 100 and Shohei Ohtani. But that dude can hit for power. He can get the base hit. He stole 50 plus bags this year. So I just really think that's what. And like I said, you look around the league, and the guys who are really just well-rounded athletes are typically you're better. But not saying that there's guys who do one thing that aren't the better players in the league, but I just think for me personally, just being an athlete who does multiple things has helped me with my game. So
Absolutely. And we showed the highlight of you throwing out a guy at third. I think it was later in the season. You were playing right field. Nick Nelson at Twins Daily in the last couple of days wrote an article. I think it was one where he had a question for each of the positions around the field for the Twins. And when it came to center field, obviously Byron Buxton has been great for a long time and defensively as well. But he made the comment about you that, yes, a lot of other guys played some center field this year, but you're the one that probably stands out as a true center field option. At the same time, the highlight we just showed of you, you were playing right, and I know you played some in left. Um, is that really just to be versatile so that, you get the call? Buxton may be healthy. You may need to play right field. You may need to play left field. Is it nice knowing that you're able to play all those others and you have played there?
Yeah, so actually early on in my career, and even in college when I would in fall ball here and there play the corners, I would always it would not sit well with me because I'd always say and this was even early on in pro ball, I'm a center fielder. I don't play left or right. I'm a center fielder, and it would always tick me off when I played the corners. But I think the last couple of years, like you said, I've viewed it that way in the sense of when Byron Buxton's healthy, when he's playing center field, there's no one better in the outfield than that guy right there. And I'm not going to be delusional in the sense of, yes, I know I'm an outfielder and I believe in my abilities out there that I could play just as well as anyone else out there. I'm not delusional in the fact that I think I'm gonna play in center field over Byron Buxton. So yeah, I kind of switched that thought in my head a couple years ago. This is setting me up for the big leagues. I don't want to think of just now. I want to be able to play left field. I want to be able to play right field if need be. And that will, like you said, it'll just allow me. It'll give me more versatility. And yes, I'm a lefty, so I can't really play anywhere else other than first base. But I've joked around with that, and they're always like, "No, you just stay out there."
Further away from
it's kind of a waste to have you in here. But yeah, so that's just to give me more versatility and playing there more. It's definitely it's different in the corners. I give a lot of credit to corner outfielders. Center field, the read's a lot easier. You just have more ground to cover. You don't have to deal with these balls that are slicing and dicing on you. And I experienced that early on the first couple times in left or right field. It was like, what's this ball doing? I'm not used to having to react to the side spin or the slice of balls. So just over the last couple of years, being comfortable with that has helped me a lot, and I think it does bring versatility for me as far as at the big league level. When Buxton or if someone else is playing center field, that doesn't mean I can't be in the lineup or I can't help out in any way. So,
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna get. I've already taken up a bunch of your time, so I want to talk more about the big leagues. You talked earlier in the show about getting the call, and I do have to ask, who were your first phone calls? And obviously I know family's a part of that, and they were able to get to, I believe, Kansas City. I don't know if you had people in Tampa, but it was a pretty quick turnaround, so I'm sure it was a lot of excitement.
Yeah, it was. It all moved really, really quick. But yeah, I mean, the first person I told was my girlfriend, Tori, because she was actually in town at the moment, or at the time. Sorry, I burped a little. She was in town, and I was hoping that she didn't hear the clubhouse erupt or someone was walking out of the clubhouse and said it to one of their wives or girlfriends or someone else, and she heard it. So I was also getting out of the shower, so I was rushing to dry myself off as fast as I could. And I told her, and that was it was an awesome experience to be able to tell her. And she's the last couple of years has really been a foundation and rock for me as far as just off the field and being there for me and supporting me throughout this journey the last couple of seasons. But the first phone call was what was and always was going to be my dad, the biggest supporter in my life and my career, and just has always been there since day one. That was my first call, and he understood that Tori knew before him because she was there. That was a good little laugh.
It's tough to get around.
Yeah, so that was my first call, and it was a moment of, because I was walked in our dugout just to get away, and because I had to travel the next morning, so it was just moved really quick, but we just had a moment of like we both really didn't know how to react to it. We kind of just like sat there and we're like, wow, it's happening. We're like, that was a moment that we've talked about and have dreamt about since I picked up a baseball, and that was just a great moment. And yeah, my girlfriend, she actually flew to Tampa Bay and then flew to KC after that game. So it was a lot tougher on her than on me. So I thank and praise her for just enduring that travel. But she was very supportive, and yeah, the rest of my family got to show up in Kansas City, which was awesome to see them and to experience that. My first start in the big leagues with them there.
Thinking to that phone call with your dad, I wonder if it didn't even mean a little bit more because it came 3 days after or 4 days after maybe you were thinking it could, and probably had gotten that thought out of your head. Maybe he got that thought out of his head, and now all of a sudden it's like, holy wow, it just happened.
Yeah, I think in years prior, like last year and this year, anytime I would always try to avoid calling him after games because I didn't want him to think like, oh, is this happening? So I would always try to avoid that. So when I did call him, as it's ringing, I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, he's immediately gonna know. Just I'm calling him 20, 30 minutes after the game just ended.
Yeah.
But he was in his car and he kind of he wasn't expecting it. So that was awesome to be able to tell him without him really expecting it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty special. All right, you make your debut in Tampa. You come in the ninth inning, and of course, I think it was the first ball finds you. What was going through your mind? Because you went about 130 feet, and I know that it looked like it hit your glove and the wall and the ball all at the same time, and it popped out. But man, you covered some ground.
Yes. So not only was it a tough ball and read, but it was probably one of the tougher outfields to play as far as you have that dome that was there that
Yeah.
it's white or just the sunlight kind of coming through it. It just blends in with the ball. So it's tough to really see it when it gets up there. And I remember everyone telling me, like, if the ball goes up in the air, don't take your eyes off of it. But this ball, I had to take my eyes off of it to give myself a chance to just get to the spot. And I remember when I look back, I'm like, I don't know where the ball's at. And I kind of at the last moment pick it up, but I was still running full speed. And I didn't want to just I've experienced it before where I try to run through the wall and got hurt doing that.
Doesn't always go well.
But it was more, I had a more feel for the wall, and it was a tough play with my backhand trying to come with it that way. And yeah, it was a good laugh because I remember as I'm running in, I saw pictures too where I'm kind of laughing, but Wallner in left field, he's running, he kind of runs up beside me and he's like, "You idiot. Did you think the first ball you're going to get in the big leagues was going to be an easy one?" And that was just a funny moment because that was a guy I've come up with and friends with. And so that was just a very Wallner thing to say to me. And it was, and that was just fun. I thought that was funny. And yeah, I guess Tommy the next day, he comes up to me, Tommy Watkins, and he goes, "Do you know what percent that opportunity percentage that was?" And I was sitting there like, please don't tell me it was like 70, 80%. He goes, it was 0%. So I was like, that made me feel a lot better because I almost got the ball. But I still, even knowing that, I still really, really wanted that ball.
Yeah. I mean, you think if the wall wasn't there, that kind of thing, you're probably not looking back as much and all of that. I want to just add another, you're in the big leagues. Pablo's pitching. Just another highlight here as we continue. And again, trying not to take up too much of your time, but I like to think these are good memories here. You're in target field. And I again look at this one, obviously a great catch, but it all starts with the jump you were able to get. Is that, I don't even know how you work on that, especially on line drives.
Yeah, I mean line drives kind of right at you like that are probably the tougher reads for anywhere in the outfield because it's really hard to dictate and just see the spin of the ball. And sometimes just the factors of the stadium behind can make it tough. But yeah, that's one thing as a whole we kind of work on in the outfield, and even separately I'll try to work on that. But just kind of my mentality in the outfield, I'll kind of view it as like a DB. I mean, I come from a football background, and arguably the second hardest position on the football field, besides behind quarterback, I think is being a DB. I mean, you have to be athletic. You have to cover these guys who know what they're running, who can run 4-2, 4-3s, and they know the play and they don't, or
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of viewed just my footwork and the way I go about playing outfield in that sense of just being able to react in any direction that I need to. So I think that just that mentality helps me at times, and just really trying to, yeah, like you said, just get that good initial jump and read on the ball.
Yeah. When you got called up, Hellman got called up, Brooks Lee was up, a lot of younger players or, inexperienced players. Did you maybe have a conversation, whether it was with Rocco or one of the other coaches, about the platoon situation and how often, that they like the platoon and play the matchups and things like that? You pretty much, when you were on the roster, you started against right-handers. Hellman or Martin got starts against left-handers. Did you kind of have a sense of what your role was going to be as you were called up?
Yeah, we never really had that conversation, but just knowing, just being in AAA and just seeing how it was, like the lineup would be ran out each and every day, I kind of had a sense, and even talking with like our coaches in AAA, just letting me know like things like that. So I already kind of knew, and I didn't really know exactly what my role in all of that was going to be. I was just really trying to enjoy the time up there and and regardless of what my role was, I was just wanted to help the team win, whatever I was doing. That was also a great feeling. Was obviously you're trying to win at the AAA level and even the lower levels, but everyone's trying to get to the same place. So it's more about development and trying to just put yourself in the right positions where it was just at the flip of a switch. I got up there and I was just like, I don't care if I'm coming off the bench right now, if I'm starting in left, put me at shortstop if you need.
Yeah.
That will never happen. But I was like, just whatever my role needed to be, I was just prepared and ready to just help the team win at whatever it was. So that was really just my mentality and headspace going into it, and just really enjoying that moment. And you only get your debut once and your first taste of the big leagues once. So I was just really trying to soak up everything as I went along.
And the nice thing is, as a minor leaguer, you're obviously the key is development and things like that. When you get to the big leagues, yes, you still need to develop and react and respond and improve. But it's also that's the highest level. It doesn't get higher than that. So being part of a team in a for a while a pennant chase, that's what it's all about. I want to ask you quick. Do you know who you got your first hit off of?
I know the video. I can't give you his name specifically, but when that happened, I kind of just completely blacked out in that moment. I remember after the game, my girlfriend was like, the stadium and just fans. I got a standing ovation, and I actually was like, I had no idea. You could probably see me where I just looked very locked in, and yeah, it was just a moment that I wish I would have soaked that up a little and kind of looked around, but I was just so locked into that game. Even though it's a 10-4 game, it was just, yeah.
Yeah. But number one, it counts.
Yeah.
And number two, it's Guillermo Zuniga of the Angels.
Yes.
And I want to say that you hit like 29 or 30 or something like that miles per hour down the line. I imagine you're thinking hit.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, I even had like friends and family sending me videos after, and just their live reactions. It was just like, you better get down the line, and that was my exact feeling in the moment. It was like, and as soon as I saw it go past his glove, I was like, this 1,000%. Like, I need to get to this base. So yeah, it was just one of those moments too. Again, Wallner, because I was hitting balls well. Kind of the first couple games I was up there, just nothing was really falling, and he came up to me before that at bat, a couple innings, because I think hit a ball to left center, just right in front of the warning track that Mickey Moniak made a good play on. But he said, you gotta just don't hit the ball hard, which coming from a guy like him, which was very funny, a guy who hits the ball by harder than anyone else I've seen.
Yeah,
and
few do.
That next at bat, I hit that and get a base hit, and it was just like come back in the dugout and again just laugh at him. So it was
line drive in the books.
Yeah.
I had a question on that one as well, but let's. Do you remember who you hit the home run off
of? I'm really bad with remembering the names.
We'll
I have it on the balls though. I do.
We'll find out together because I forgot to write it down myself as well. But
against the Orioles, so I know that.
Yeah, let's take a look here real quick. Let's see. Last game. Well, let's start. I mean, you had been sent down for 2 weeks, continued to rake, and then I think pretty much as soon as the Twins were officially eliminated, a couple guys went on the injured list, and you got one more opportunity. And I would say you made the most of it. This looks pretty good.
Yeah. This was another one of those instances because this was my first at bat of the game, and that was the first pitch I saw that day. I kind of went up there with a plan and approach, and he kind of gave it to me, and I just took advantage at that moment on that pitch. And yeah, that was I actually took the time to soak that moment up because I knew I didn't the first hit. So you can kind of see me running around third, smiling, and he said something funny to me. But yeah, that was just to end the season with that was an awesome moment for me. And it's always nice when you get these firsts out of the way. Because you're not sitting there chasing and stressing about it. So it was nice to get that out of the way. And it was just also like you could see the support that I had in the dugout.
Right here.
I think as soon as I got in the dugout, Jeffers gave me a big hug, a guy I was drafted with. But yeah, it was just the love and support was awesome. And I can't speak on other teams and other organizations, but that's something I think the Twins do very well is just support everyone, and they have genuine love for all of us, and it's just a tighter knit family in a way. And on that team, I feel like it was a lot of guys I did come up with, was either drafted with or played with throughout in the minor leagues. And I also feel like you don't see that very often with that many guys who are homegrown products. So
just in that little video, I mean, you see Joe Ryan, you see Trevor Larnach would have been drafted with you and Jeffers. I think Hellman was that same draft.
Yeah, Hellman. Yeah.
Royce seems to get along with everybody. He's back there cheering, but I mean, that's a lot of fun to see. I do want to ask you, actually, I want to go back to that video. If you have I want to go back and I want to ask you about part of your swing, because I hadn't noticed you do this before, but as you're getting set, you kind of, I guess, bend your knees real quick. And is that a timing? Let me just show it here and people can see there. You just kind of drop it and sink in and like, okay, now I'm ready. Kind of a boom. And then you can explode when you hit the ball. But is that an intentional thing? Is that something you worked on or just it happened?
No, yeah. So that's actually the move I got from Royce.
Okay.
His
I
is
was
a
wondering
lot.
about that.
You can't tell his a lot. His is very slight. Where in my head, when I started doing it, it was like that. But then I see video and I'm getting a little lower, a little wider. But I wasn't at the time. Like, I'm not going to try to change this. And like, I'm not doing it for the looks. I'm doing it for the functionality. And yeah, it allowed me to be more efficient, have less movement in my swing, and just kind of in doing all of that, it's allowed my athleticism to come out a little more and be a little more consistent with my contact and my eye. So
Yeah, that's the technical stuff that I don't get into, but that was definitely something I noticed. I was wondering if that's what you were referring to.
yeah.
Last couple questions, and again, I promised we'd be shorter, and I think we might even be longer. But thankfully, these are good, hopefully great memories for you to talk about. What as you enter the off season, have you had a chance to kind of just sit back and reflect on the season, the call, and I guess where do you go from here? What are you working on in the off season, or are you still at the point where you're just still getting away from it?
Yeah, so actually, when I first got back, it was awesome seeing everyone and everyone being super excited that wasn't out with me or didn't get to come to my debut. But
Yeah.
just everyone showing that love and support. And the moment it actually really hit me was actually at church that first Sunday. And we were just we're all worshiping, and I was just in a moment of gratitude and just looking back at the whole season, what God did in my life, in my heart, and just professionally. He did so much for me, and just like I said, just really leaning into that, my trust and faith with Him. So that was really the moment it kind of sunk in, just thanking Him for everything He's done, because I don't think I would not be in the position I am now. If it wasn't for Him, His grace, His mercy, His love for me, and for all of us. So yeah, that was a moment for me when it sunk in. And yeah, actually, I took 2 weeks off, and I started training last week again. I got back in the weight room and the train with my trainer. Feeling it today. So we're in week 2 of my off-season training, and yeah, I've gotten a lot of questions about the off-season and what next year is going to look like, and I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen this offseason, and I don't have any control over that. So I'm really not trying to think too much about that. I would love and hope and pray to stay with the Twins, because this is an organization that knows how to create. What am I trying to say? They just work really well with players, and the player development I love, and just everything that I've seen has been great. So I would love to stay with the Twins, but like I said, I don't have any control over that. So I'm just really just trying to focus on myself and putting myself in the best position for come spring to really help show from day one that I can be an asset at the big league level from day one. Like I said, whether it's coming in to pitch run or playing center, left, right, I just want to show and prove that, regardless of my role, that I can be an asset on the big league level from game one. So.
And then just the last question I always bug you with is, you got anything fun planned? You got any trips or anything, like holidays or anything anything exciting? Not that you have to give away locations or anything, because
No,
and paparazzi there or anything. But
I kind of typically keep my off seasons low key, just really focus on my training and just really trying to just enjoy being home. I mean, I live in a place that most people come to vacation at.
I get it.
So I always tell like my girlfriend or my dad's always trying to get me to go travel somewhere. I'm like, we live somewhere that people come to vacation, so it's hard for me to
Yeah.
leave. But with that being said, I have family. I do want to go visit back east, and I have some like local trips like coming in the next couple of weeks to like Palm Springs, and just really just focus on myself, my relationships, my faith, and I do golf a little here. That's my off season activity is golf. 'Cause I don't do it during season. Um, so yeah, I keep that for my off season stuff.
Very cool. Well, again, I apologize for taking up so much time. I think we left you with enough time to get to your next event, but
Oh yeah.
seriously, congratulations. There's always the fun stories of guys like Zach Neto or whoever who get drafted and make it to the big leagues, pretty much right away. But through all the injuries and the struggles and the ups and the downs, the last couple of years have been really good. And it was great to see, even if it was just a handful of games, to see you get that opportunity to, essentially forever be able to call yourself a big leaguer. And that's pretty exciting. So hopefully you've got lots of those big league paychecks coming in your future. And thanks again for always taking the time and being willing to discuss this type of stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, hopefully we'll have more conversations in the future as a twin. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. Well, thank you again, and thank you to everyone for listening. Have yourself a great off season, and go Twins.
Yes, sir. Thank you.